We're all entrepreneurs. And when you're an entrepreneur and that's your customer, you can't hide behind whatever that brand is. You really are the brand. So for me, style, yes, it's appearance, it's polished, it's elevating your whole concept as an entrepreneur, but it's also about respect.
Welcome to Be Bold Branding, where we discuss the power of differentiating yourself through your own unique story and standout personal brand. In a world where first impressions happen through screens and authenticity is currency, the old rules of power dressing are dead. But here's the real question. How do you stand out while staying true to yourself? That's why we invited Mary Lou Andre, the woman Fortune 500 CEOs trust to transform their executive presence. From selling her wedding dress to launching one of America's premier image consulting firms, she's here to reveal how your closet could be the key to unlocking your next level of success.
Mary Lou, welcome to Be Bold Branding.
Oh, thank you so much.
You know, my grandpa, I have a lot of my grandpa saids, and my grandpa always said that you should dress for the job you want, not the one that you have. And it's always stuck with me many, many years. And I appreciate that topic, both literally and figuratively, right? But do you want to share a little bit of your background for us before we start delving into the things that you can teach us? What led you to this space? Like sort of like my grandpa taught me. What taught you?
Oh, well, when I was, we always go back to what we loved as a child, right? And if you can tap that in your adult life, it definitely does pave the way for a very happy career. And I was that child who would have rather played in my mom's closet than even go to Disney World, to be quite honest. I was always intrigued with clothing and texture and fabric, and I was very observant, and I definitely had creativity in my blood. Of course, I was from a very conservative family, and they were like, get the real degree. So I did go to the University of Massachusetts, and I double majored in journalism and fashion marketing. And believe it or not, Michael, I fell in love with journalism. Fashion marketing there was very retail oriented, which is not what I do. I am definitely a consultant. But the writing, I ended up writing for the school newspaper as the fashion editor. So it was definitely a combination of love and talent. I also have authored a book, which has definitely been a dream come true. But our brand is really steeped in using professional image, personal image as a tool of confidence and energy, and really helping people show up in a very different way. I could sit here and talk all day about fashion. There isn't a sales rack that I have met that I haven't enjoyed. And that is the fun part of what we do. But when I've been very blessed to work with just some extraordinary leaders in my career. And boy, do you learn from them. And when you have a system and a process like we have, they light up. So I am super proud of the work that we do. And I'm pretty sure, even though they love it when we find that power suit that they can go do their TED Talk in, or fill their closet with beautiful tops to show up bigger and better on Zoom, I'm pretty sure the reason why we have such a tremendous repeat business here is that we really partner with our clients for success and really help them use image and clothing and appearance to really help them show up in a way that is very authentic. I loved how you opened the show, Tanya. That is very authentic to them. My job is really to be a sounding board and, again, use image as a tool of communication, confidence, energy, even setting good boundaries depending on who the leader is. So I have just been blessed with a career that I love. But I think if you're going to put business and fashion next to each other and ask me to pick one, I think I would probably pick business. I just love that the fashion gives me a very unique place in the business.
Do what you love. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, you know, I want to say two things as we kick off right here with some questions. The clothes don't make the man, right? I'm not necessarily being gender specific these days, but that was the cliche, right? Forever and ever and ever. Clothes do not make the man or whatever. But I gotta say that the right clothing makes you feel a certain way, and
like the man,
right? And Tanya taught me something. It's very interesting when she does photo shoots. shoots with our clients, she can always pick out their favorite outfit. She will always, as part of the go through with the client, she'd be like, "That's your favorite outfit. That's your favorite color, even. That's your," and they're like, "Oh, how did you know that?" Because there is a certain je ne sais quoi, if you will, if you're wearing something you're super confident in. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I think our messaging goes hand in hand. It's all about branding. And when you can really stop, I think folks are really intrigued with our approach, because a lot of times people will call here and they'll say, I have a closet full of clothes. I can't get dressed. I have a photo shoot. What the heck do I wear? I'm going for a job interview. I'm giving the speech of my lifetime. And I always go back to, what is your brand in the marketplace? How are we going to connect how you show up? And Michael, going back to your point, I'm just smiling listening to you. I could just tell you story after story, but I remember many years ago now working with a young man who was extremely intelligent, and his boss came to me and said, he is by far the smartest guy in the room, but he's quiet. He doesn't own the space. He doesn't even own a seat at the table. And I remember taking him, very shy, probably thought it was the weirdest thing that his boss ever did, was have him go shopping with me. But I'll never forget, he was slight. He was about 5'6", very slight. He's very young. He's like under 40. And he was wearing clothes that were too big, and they were just literally drowning him. And I remember being at the store and getting him in that at the time jacket and slacks, maybe with a tie or without a tie. I can't remember now. There's not many ties. We don't work with too many ties anymore. But I remember just seeing the transformation in the mirror. He was standing taller, smiling, and that's the energy connection. And the funny part about that story, at the end, after he was thrilled with this brand new wardrobe, we made it really easy, for him to be able to pick the right things, to go into an office, go to a conference, work from home, whatever it was. And I said to him, he said, what was the biggest tweak? And I said, the fit. I said, it really looked like you were in your dad's clothes. And he said, I was in my dad's clothes. And I just laughed, because part of professionalism, part of executive presence, is really owning this and doing it in a way that's unique to you. And part of it was, young guy, 3 small kids. I get it. Money was tight,
Sure.
but it was a true investment in him. And literally had hand-me-downs from his dad that were too big, too dated. Too big, again, drowns your messaging, really doesn't have you show up. And dated, it sends subtle but significant messages. And I know you guys are the brand gurus, that your thinking isn't quite as current. So there's a lot to this discussion.
A lot.
And again, the fashion part is the fun piece, but what really turns me on is when you see those, you see people walk differently. You see them take a different seat at the table, and you actually see their income go up depending on what they're up to. So it's a pretty cool space.
No doubt.
It's a really cool space. Like, and it also stood out to me. You said he looked like he was drowning, and in that capacity he was. And that's sort of like why I said earlier about the figurative and literal makes so much sense, right? Because number one, he's all sons are in the shadow of their father to a certain extent, right? Mm-hmm. And then he's wearing his father's clothing. All right. He probably was a respectful young man to his father and that sort of thing. And so he was living in that space. You had not given him that opportunity yet. And then when you put the right clothes on, now they're his clothes, and now he's filling out those clothes, and then his identity and his, and he can step into that light, which is so awesome. Like,
I love that story. Love
great.
That story.
Yeah.
Like what you're hearing? Hit that subscribe button and learn how you can change how you're seen and charge what you're worth. Well, I love how this conversation is going, and I love that story that you just told. And, one of the things that I know our own audience and our clients would be interested in knowing, Mary Lou, is, okay, when a client comes into you, can you kind of take us through the steps that they go through with you so people know the right order of things and how it's supposed to happen?
Oh, great question. Yes. So everything we do here, it's not where we say, and I'm sure you guys say the same thing, it's not about us, it's about them. So we do a thorough intake and I think some of them are curious why we're asking the questions that we ask, but I want to get a clear picture of their personal and professional life. So I'll ask questions about, do you have a wedding coming up? Do you have it's so funny. If you don't ask them, people don't tell you. I've been with clients where you do a whole session with them and then they're like, oh, I'm leaving tomorrow for a 3-day conference. And you're like, what? What were you going to tell me that? So we try to address the whole person. With our clientele is very, very senior. We work with, we're open for business and we work with lots of folks. And it's always an honor when a client has us work with a son or daughter that's just starting their career. I just find that's just such a gift. And it's really an awesome add-on service because you're really helping the mom or the dad. But we work with mostly senior executive men and women. And when I can save them time, like I'm always looking at time savings, cost savings. We are consultants. We are not working for a store. We like to repurpose what they already have. So most sessions start with an at-home session. Today, most of our intakes are held on Zoom. You can really get a take for somebody. We do work with clients all over the country. We can fly out there. They can come here. We can do a lot on Zoom as well if somebody's not local. We're right outside the Boston area. We don't have sales tax on clothes, which a lot of people like when they come in here to shop with us. But we do a thorough intake that really gets us. I really want to know, do they love clothes? Do they find it, an unbearable chore to have to go to the store? And when I meet them, sizing is the next piece. Now, everyone that works here has a really natural eye for sizing, but you often ask somebody on a Zoom call, what size they are. Most people, and it's not just men, it's women too. Most of them, I always say, what is your size range? Most people don't even know what it is. We are sticklers for size. So we coach we call them the 4 good F words. It's fit, fabric, function, flair. I'll say it again, fit, fabric, function, flair, in that order. And our executive clients really love that because they can get it. Fit, we've already talked about fit a little bit. It's how you show up and there's no excuse. I did a lot of television work back in the day and I could put somebody in a very inexpensive suit that looked great on TV as long as it fit. The camera had especially with the blues and for the female talent, hot pinks and royal blues, they just lit up on camera, no matter what the brand. So we start with fit. And then fabric is huge. And most people never stop to consider how much fabric impacts their day, their executive presence. What is your internal thermostat? What is your external thermostat? Some people run cold, some people run hot, some people get nervous in meetings. Like I get it all on the table. Some people travel, so I'm not going to put them in fabrics that wrinkle. I'm going to make sure, then when we get into the function piece, I'm going to make sure that if they are traveling a lot, they have the basics to get their job done. If there's somebody that really, after the pandemic, nobody wants to wear heels anymore. I'm going to make sure that a lot of those heels are repurposed. I'm going to remove them from the house. The other thing that we do that I'm super proud of is we have a foundation here. And the foundation is really to serve our clients. So we're able to donate clothing and we take it really seriously. We get those things, keep them out of landfills as best we can. We have partnerships. And people love that. And the goal always with the client is to eliminate the things that are holding them back, to identify the gaps that can make them shine in their own unique way, and then minimize the cost, the shopping experience, maximize what they already have, and then keep it in a very simple formula. Now, men are a little easier. It's like people ask me all the time, how many pants do I need? How many jackets? It's all different. But typically if I'm taking I just actually worked with a gentleman 2 weeks ago, and his boss came to me and said, you know what, we're getting ready to give him a big promotion. We want to really get him ready. And so I looked at my piece of this project as, again, getting him ready, getting him excited, helping him show up, and, being able to remove things and give them a new home is a really big piece of what we do. And then fashion is last. And we keep clients here for a very long time. If I'm working with a woman and I get her that great black dress, great black, I'm saying black just because it's a base neutral and most people can identify that, a great pair of ankle boots in a heel that feels great on her foot, beautiful coat. I'm asking, are you in sales? Who are you handing your coat to when you go into a room? Like, there's so much to this, and it gives me great joy to see people get excited. I also just worked with somebody, a husband, boy, I'm picking on the guys today. And she said, oh, my husband hates all this, but can you just help him? Blah, 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 blah. Guess what? He loved it. She's like, what did you do to him? I'm like, I made it fun. Relevant to how he lives. He's a hiker. He's outside a lot. He skis. I praised him. He had great ski clothes. Not too many go out to dates with his beautiful wife, but we fixed that. And part of it, to your point, is the process. It's getting you on a Zoom call and understanding who you are, having you send us an agenda. I just packed somebody for a 2-week trip in India. I had to get the understand the customs there, understand the climate there, understand the nuance. Half the time is work, half's with family. Didn't want to check a bag. So what does that look like? And fabrics that obviously in a big way. So I get really super jazzed on being that eyes and ears on the. I always say I got you back, and I'm on the ground with you. And then a lot of times it's really just getting people in the right fabrics that are going to be elevated in a way that is very much true to them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I mean, again, can't stress enough how important it is. You really spoke to me there. We're not going to go, maybe that's for a different podcast at a different time, but we went to Israel and a couple of years back, and it was our second time, and I wanted to pack with a carry-on. And I thought I was really proud of myself for packing this thing. I had it tight, right? But then, I find out this 8-kilogram law that they just won't bend. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And so anyway, I still had to check because of it. I'm going to do better next time. But I wanted to ask you this question because many people confuse style with fashion. Mm-hmm. So can you help the listeners understand like a distinction and, why it's so crucial for their professional success?
Yeah, I get it. Really, I love when people can start to think of it as a tool. And it really, the first element is communication, because as Tanya said when she opened the show, it's like you don't get a second chance to make a great first impression. So why not start as at a 10, so to speak? And I can share another story with you. I was asked to speak at a conference in the summer in Boston a couple of years ago. And I had to go through, I was vetted for this. It was a pretty big speaking opportunity. And the folks that were organizing the conference had never worked with me. I've now worked with them many, many times. And they really prepped me for the questions. And it was a mostly male audience. And they prepped me with the questions. And then right out of the bat, somebody asked me a question that was so off the grid, and I just answered it in my authentic self. And they said, what is your biggest pet peeve about fashion? And I said, actually, it's when somebody dismisses it as frivolous. Somebody because you get that in our field where people will, and that has always bothered me. Even I remember when I was first starting my company, much younger, didn't have the experience that I have now. And I was, I'd go out, I've got 2 kids. So, you're on the soccer fields and people would ask you what you do. And I never felt comfortable sharing it because I felt, oh, it seems so judgmental, like clothing. And then as my career grew and I was able to be exposed to so many incredible thought leaders, just incredible, where their communication was so good, but when they got the packaging down a little bit more in terms of, again, the energy and the confidence and the swag and the jazz, and you saw how much it impacted every dimension of their life, starting with joy, by the way, because Michael, as you said, when you feel good, it's energetic. It's like, it's people want to be around you. They're drawn to you. So I have been a study of all that, a student of all of that. And I guess how I differentiate is fashion is going through the Vogue magazine, 17 magazine when I was a kid, and it's very creative. And I love the texture, feel, the colors. And I've got a natural talent for being able to even go into any store and say, that shade of brown goes with that shade of gold, and then you do this shoe and this belt, and that's an innate talent. But the skill that I have developed, and it's really just been interacting with phenomenal people, is to see how style transforms people's lives.
So true. That is so true. Mary Lou, I wish we could keep you on all day here. And but I do have one more question for you, actually two more before we go.
Okay.
And I know that a lot of people are wondering this because when the pandemic started and everybody was on Zoom, it's like, it's business on the top, party on the bottom, right? So like wear this nice, shirt, maybe even a tie or a nice blazer or whatever. And then if you're like me, you have yoga pants, like when I was working out of my house, like I literally did it. So, okay, good. I don't feel so bad now. So what is the best advice you can give a lot people like us, like all
Mhm.
three of us, entrepreneurs that very often work from their home
Mhm.
and most of our interaction is through Zoom. So what is the best advice you can give somebody? Because what I see is a lot of dressing down and a lot of sloppiness, and you can see that and you can tell it. So I'll leave the rest with you to answer.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that, because if that's your first impression,
Yes,
you're not thinking about the clothes. You're thinking about someone being sloppy, somebody being not great
exactly.
with detail. So it does trigger a lot of different reactions. When I always say to our clients, or if I'm speaking to an audience, you have tremendous control over this. So the first thing to do if I'm working with someone that's struggling is I do a big timeout and I really set the stage. So when the pandemic first hit, we went out to our best clients and we got them the 5 Zoom tops. And to your point, I mean, I was in Lululemon's a half hour before this interview. I did get dressed up for you guys. But that's if I'm comfortable and I don't have an on-camera day. Yeah, the stakes, they don't matter. But you kind of have to be camera ready. So for our female clients, I just, I could even have it here. I have like a little tray here on my desk that I've got earrings in. So I've got a silver, I've got a gold. I can do that pretty quickly. I have a little mirror. I have a little bit, using the Zoom filters helps. I can put some fresh lipstick on because that's my brand. So it's really about it's even decluttering your background. I've seen people do a beautiful job with their brand colors. If that's important to them, they can get a couple of, right now I'm in the Northeast, beautiful cashmere sweaters, and they don't have to be expensive at all. Really, any knit that's flat and a beautiful color with simple earrings and a fresh lip is, because a lot of them, they just don't want to be wearing suits anymore. And with guys, I mean, I've got 2 young boys. I got one interviewing today, and it's just a nice, clean, ironed. I was like, "Did you iron your shirt today?" Button down. And again, it's being centered at your desk, not being so harried all the time. And lighting is important. All the things. But again, it's taking control. And I find that when you feel good and you're more professional, you're not doing all those things that we all see on camera, the drinking, all of that. So I had another story as I was in a mastermind. And there was a young woman, and she would come and she had a baseball hat on. And this was early in the pandemic, and really sloppy, and the camera going all over the place. And, I finally connected with her one-on-one because they would put you in breakout rooms. And she was just so delightful and so smart. And it just killed me. I wasn't in a position where I knew her well enough to give her unsolicited advice. But it really, to this day, it still really stands out to me at what a disservice. We're all entrepreneurs. And when you're an entrepreneur and that's your customer, you can't hide behind, Fidelity or Bank of America or whatever that brand is. You really are the brand. So for me, style, yes, it's appearance, it's polished, it's elevating your whole concept as an entrepreneur, but it's also about respect for your clients, for yourself, and saying, I pay attention to the details. You're important to me. I took the time to pull myself together. Even before I came on, I made sure my dog I got a little puppy here that sometimes barks. So I took care of her, but it's really not that hard. People make it hard. And I've seen, unfortunately, and you guys know this too, because you're on the customer side and people tell you things. People will dismiss you in a minute. And is it fair? Not always. Is life fair? Not always. So I try to, even when I mentor my kids, I'm like, show up with your A game on, because you never know who. I remember one of my biggest deals, back to my soccer days, one of my biggest client deals ever was somebody I met at on the soccer field. Now, did I have a suit on? No. Did I have sneakers, clean yoga pants, and a nice top? Yes. Did I engage them? Did I listen? Did I make eye contact? Yes. Do I feel my personal best when I'm a little bit more pulled together? Yes. So it's really what works for you. And as an entrepreneur, we're all selling. That's all we do. We solve problems. And we solve problems and we sell. That's what we do. And if you are feeling really good, it's all of that gets easier.
Sure. I agree. Couldn't agree more.
Absolutely.
Well, Mary Lou, I wish we had more time. We try to keep these,
Let's have
under
her back.
25 minutes.
Please.
We're definitely going to have you back to talk about some more things when it comes to these things. But for now, tell the audience, how can they get in touch with you, learn more about you, work with you? What's the best way to contact?
Awesome. Our website is dressingwell.com. If you'd like to leave your email, we have a nice, I think it's a 10-step guide to pulling together a capsule wardrobe. If that's of interest to you, that is our gift to you when you sign up for the newsletter. And that's really the place to be. We do we do a really nice blog. I also do an inspirational newsletter. This week it was about parting with your clothes and giving them a new home, but we do a lot of that. It's very inspirational. We also have a very active Facebook group, Beyond Dressing Well, and you can also find me on LinkedIn, and it's Mary Lou Andre, Andre.
Thank you so much,
That's
Mary Lou.
awesome.
This has been awesome, and I know our clients will appreciate it very much, and anybody else who's listening out there too. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Ready to change how you're seen and charge what you're worth? If you're not getting enough opportunities to meet with ideal customers, or the prospects you're meeting with just aren't ideal, it's most likely your brand that's holding you back. So if you're a coach, consultant, or expert who is on the rise, you need our ultimate guide to a freedom-based brand. Download it free now at brandfaceguide.com.